Hi everyone. I hope everybody is doing okay, is doing fine. Today I'm going to do an English podcast. It's been a long time I haven't done it, so I'm pretty excited today. Now we're going to talk about the Greater Israel Project, as seen by Sabrina Salvati, also known as Sabby Sabs, which is a very famous podcaster, journalist on YouTube, and I think that maybe on other platforms. And she's talking about the Greater Israel Project based on a video of a certain Professor Jing, which she's basing herself on. So we're going to listen to it. And what's going to happen is that once she will be finished speaking, and please everybody be a little bit patient because it's going to be a little bit long. I just didn't want it to just show the video of Professor Jing because at the end of the day, right, I saw this guy reflection on the matter all through Sabby Sabs podcast. So I just want to give props to her while also acknowledging this Professor Jing. Understanding of the situation over there and how it's going to happen, the Greater Israel and all that stuff. Because he's got a roadmap for how it's going to happen, and I do understand that Sabrina Salvati, Sabby Sabs, he does agree with the way that he thinks is going to happen. So bear with me and listen to Miss Salvati or Sabby Sabs and Professor Jing. Here we go.
I would say the scary part of the Bible. And what we are going to do is we are going to make the connection between what is happening geopolitically right now, what is predicted to happen with geopolitics, and how this all ties in to biblical Israel versus modern day Israel. So if you saw that part, then you know that what we explained is that when in the Bible, when Jesus said, I shall call you Israel, he was speaking to Jacob, right? So Jacob, person in the Bible, that's who he was speaking to. If you also saw that part, one of the questions that I had is that what happened to those missing books from the Bible? How do we know that you have all the books that are in the Bible? How do you know that we're not being manipulated in some way, shape, or form in order to pursue and continue this idea of this Greater Israel Project? How do we know that this hasn't been the case for all time? And I said, if that's the case, then you're looking at the biggest psyop ever played in the world, in my opinion. There was a professor recently, Professor Jing.
Professor Jing.
He obviously must have been thinking the same thing I'm thinking, but he breaks this down in such a way that I think people really need to see to fully understand when we talk about the book of Revelations. Revelations is the end times.
Just to let you know regarding that analysis that she does and that he does on the roadmap to the Greater Israel Project from the Israeli point of view and what's the events that are supposed to happen. The reason why I wanted you to listen to it and understand it from her point of view and his point of view is because I have a little bit different perspective of the matter. Not that Israel doesn't want to go through and carry out a Greater Israel Project, but on the way that they assume that it's going to happen. And I do believe that they're missing certain elements in there. Although I'm not, I'm not a professor, as you can see, and I'm not as knowledgeable of these guys. But from my understanding, I do believe that they underestimate a lot of stuff, and that they let slide a lot of stuff through their assessment of the roadmap leading to a Greater Israel, to the establishment of the Greater Israel state. So let's keep going. That's why I want you guys to listen till the end and to be patient and to understand
For
what they're
those who are
saying.
not aware, I grew up in the church. I had many criticisms, of the church, and I have questions. I still have questions to this day. But Revelations is the book where we get into Armageddon. We talk about, the rapture. We talk about the 7 years of tribulation, the 7 years of peace, and the Antichrist, etc. So what we are going to do is we're going to start with the geopolitics part first, so you can see the map. And then we're going to lead right into Revelations. Again, shout out to Professor Jing. This video, at least a clip of it, was going viral everywhere on social media. He did this presentation for his students. Listen to what he says. Everyone pay attention.
Is that Europe is planning to go to war with Russia. Okay? Europe is about to go to war with Russia, okay? At the same time, you have a lot of immigrants in Europe. And this is going to create civil wars in Europe. Okay, civil war. So you have both war with Russia as well as civil war. So Europe is kind of screwed, okay? America has the same situation where the left-right divide is so polarized that eventually they'll go to war. If you read the news, you may have heard about the shootings at Brown University, as well as this MIT physicist who was shot, okay? So random violence will be more and more common in the United States. And you can...
And to be honest with you, I don't think that he's totally wrong. I mean, when you listen to TV, you watch the news, and you see those ICE guys going into all communities, all communities, they're targeting certain communities more than others, to be honest with you, and start harassing people, arresting people, beating up people, killing people, and being supported by the government and being backed up by the government. Then you start to understand that something at one point is going to break, because at the end of the day, the power belongs to the people, and the day they're going to understand that, they're going to be fire and trouble on those streets, both ways.
Argue that's all...
You know that, and I know that.
Deliberate, because the idea is this. Let's just say you have a jar. You put red ants in a jar and black ants in a jar. They get along fine. But you take the jar and you just shake it up, and now they're at war with each other, okay? That's what's happening, where the left and right, they really don't like each other. They don't talk to each other, and they refuse to engage in debate with each other.
And that is by design.
And sorry, and just want to let you know regarding that ICE stuff. I mean, the last guy that they killed had a weapon on him. Even if it was authorized to have a weapon, he had a weapon on him. And we had those other groups that we saw, and where Sabby Sabs was actually asking if they were really like Black Panthers and all that. But regardless if they're Black Panthers or not, I understand the name and not using the name. I do understand that. I get it. But once this is being said, the message itself is pretty damning. The message itself is pretty rough, in the sense that they're saying now that it's going to be an armed struggle. That's what they're saying. And like I said, the last guy they killed had a weapon on him, but it was authorized, and they had him under control, and they just decided to execute him. That's it. That's all. So remember that.
And notice what he said about all the chaotic incidents that are happening here in the U.S. back to back to back. This is what I was telling you guys last stream when I said they want chaos. See, chaos is key. It's actually crucial if you believe in the end times prophecy, if you believe in this greater Israel project, that chaos must happen in order to lead to some type of peace. I'll explain that a little bit later. Let's continue.
But then,
to be honest, in terms of when we're talking about chaos here, it's just an internal politics that is being put up and set up and by the neoconservative and by the Trump administration that just want to keep control on the level and number of immigrants and certain people that are not white that are in the States. That's pretty obvious, because like I was saying, the people that are being targeted are not white. They are mostly brown people, Hispanic people, Black people, and so on and so forth, but not white. You need to understand that.
They're not going to fight each other unless there's violence, in which case the tribal mentality takes over and they start killing each other, okay? So we can expect civil war in the United States.
So civil war makes sense in the States.
Then you're going to have the Americans start to attack Venezuela and possibly other countries in South America. So America is in for a bad time, okay?
The problem now is that he's talking about the United States attacking like Venezuela and other South American countries. My issue with him at this point is just the fact that he's not saying why they are attacking them. And I do believe, in my opinion, that the reason why they're attacking them is to isolate, like in terms of energy, they isolate the Russians, isolate China, for that matter. And also, they already doing blockades on it, right? They arrested a Russian ship. So the reason why they are attacking them is because they know that that's where the Russian and the Chinese are going to go get their energy, their oil, right? Some maybe food and stuff like that. So it's by design that they attack them. It's not because they just, of course, they want oil for themselves in terms of, their population is growing and the demand in energy and food and all that stuff keeps increasing as the demand of a nation that is a consumer nation is growing, and the appetite is growing also, and that they need and require more and more and more and more resources. So let's keep going on that. That's the reason why I see that they are attacking Venezuela. First of all, to be against, to isolate the Russians and the Chinese. And also to make it so that they get cheap resources, natural resources.
China, yeah, I mean, Japan and China and India, they're all going to have conflicts with each other. But also, what we should expect is that.
I think that it's a little bit too easy for him to say that. I'm sorry, I need to, I'm trying to. Yeah, this is a little more interactive. But I said that I was going to be quiet until the end and that I give my 2 cents, but I just can't. You know what? So when he's talking about China and Japan and all that, yeah, there might be feud and all that. But I mean, it's too easy the way that he's saying that, because it just seems like he didn't know what to say and the reason why, and he had to say something about these countries and China and so on and so forth. But China is already on a struggle and on a fight with the United States. And even maybe Europe. The same thing with Russia. They're already in a feud with the United States. And they're actively already in a feud with Europe as well. So yes, but it just means that my issue is just that it doesn't explain the nitty gritty of the stuff, the reason why they're going to be something between these countries. What makes it so that they're going to have problems? Is it because Japan and maybe India are allied to the United States, right? And that it's the way for them, to isolate even more China, or to irritate or tickle China the wrong way? I don't know. There's something that there's a certain substance that is missing in his explanation of the whole concept and the whole roadmap. Okay, so let's keep going.
That America starts to embargo China, meaning America uses its sea power to block China from accessing resources from overseas. And China imports most of its oil and a lot of its food. So if there's a blockade of China, you can expect the Chinese economy to really suffer, okay?
And this is maybe I talked a little bit too fast, but it didn't tell us like what is the role that Japan and India are going to play in making that blockade, or is it just saying that it is the United States that are going to create that blockade? And we already see it happen when you think about it, right? Because like I said earlier, we already know that when they took Venezuela and they attacked Venezuela, captured the president of Venezuela, they also arrested a Russian ship that was going to come and replenish and bring oil back to Russia. So it's already starting, and this makes sense also in the way that I see it. That yes, they want to isolate Russia. And they want to cut it from its sources of energy, of resources, by doing blockades. Totally makes sense in all of this. Just can't wait to see how Japan and India are going to be involved in doing that. Or maybe it's going to be undercover that they're going to do this. I don't know. We'll see.
Now,
but
think
I do
about
agree.
this. What is happening right now? Isn't the U.S. really trying to back Taiwan so that Taiwan can have this conflict with China? For those who are not aware, there was this doctrine that was established a long time ago called One China. So that would mean that China and Taiwan are one. So Taiwan is part of China, China is part of Taiwan. But apparently they're saying that, Taiwan does want some independence and the U.S. backs Taiwan. Now, pay attention to what is happening. From what I understand, from what I'm hearing from overseas, is that there are U.S., ships all over there by Taiwan. So let's go on a little bit more.
Sure, let's go.
All right. And then what we can expect to happen is America at some point will go to war with Iran. And this will destroy both countries. Okay? Iran will not lose this war, but it won't win this war either because America is just going to bomb the crap out of Iran. It's going to send Iran back decades.
I think he is correct about this. This is why I'm telling everybody, Donald Trump is making the moves to make all this happen. Now, I think regardless who was president, whether it was a Democrat or Republican, this was inevitable. One of the things that Brian Berlatek has explained so well is that the foreign policy decisions have already been made. And if you look at the Brookings Institute report, you can see this for yourself if you look them up online. So the reality is, as I told you, the president don't really run shit. The president don't really run the country. They're just another puppet. Donald Trump is in a unique position because he's not just the president, he's also a billionaire. So he's up there with the elites and at the same time holding public office. That's a dangerous position, right? So he can be very lethal. But the reality is, this is what they want. They're already moving in that direction. Why do you think they're talking about the Iran protests so much? Donald Trump put out the statement and said, we need to go liberate and help the people of Iran. I told you, watch that word liberate. That means regime change. Now, regardless of how you feel about the regime in Iran, that is not our concern. That is their concern, right? So the U.S. wants to come in. They'll use the protests as an excuse, which a lot of these protests have infiltrators anyway. CIA, Mossad, to start this type of color revolution. The U.S. uses that as an excuse. They go in, they say, see, we're here to liberate the people, then he implements regime change. Iran will suffer a terrible fate if that regime change happens by the hands of the West, just like people in Afghanistan did and Iraq. And you see what's happening right now in Syria. So pay attention because they're already moving in that direction. Donald Trump was the one that moved the capital. Remember, he moved the capital in Jerusalem, setting the stage for the biblical end times.
Okay, so I do agree. I'm not going to extend that much, Sabby Sam. I mean, she said great stuff. The only thing that I'm going to say is that definitely true that the U.S. and Israel are going to bomb the crap out of Iran, right? And hoping that they're going to hurt Iran. The only thing is the reason why they're doing that again. If they try to isolate. If they try to isolate China and Russia by grabbing Venezuela and all the other country and doing a blockade, that's the same reasoning for a country like Iran, right? And actually, a country like Iran has double reason why they would do it. They could do it. One reason because it's one of the problem for Israeli to be able to extend their influence in the region, in the Middle East. And on the other way as well, it's one of the tools to isolate China and to isolate Russia as well, because Iran is a close ally of China and Russia, and it enables them to get resources, oil and other things from them, right? So definitely if they succeed in grabbing, in controlling, in doing regime change in Iran, definitely is going to be a big problem. It's going to be an existential threat, a big issue for China and especially also for Russia. You need to remember that very carefully. Let's keep going. As Sabby Sabs says.
But America will lose this war, but this is important because...
America will lose this war? Okay, maybe lose this war in the sense that they won't win it and they were supposed to win it.
America loses war, it's forced out of the Middle East.
Yeah, okay, forced out of the Middle East.
And once it's forced out of the Middle East, all its military assets goes to Israel, which creates the Pax Judaica. Yeah, does that make sense, guys? That's the plan. Okay, now you have Pax Judaica.
Pax Judaica. This is the part you need to pay attention to right here. All right. So There will be war between the U.S. and Iran, Israel and Iran. And what he is predicting is that neither side is really going to win. We know
No, no,
Iran
no.
is very powerful. Let's not
No,
pretend like
no,
there's-
no, no, no. Iran is very powerful. We understand that. Now, what he said is that the Americans are going to lose this war, right? In the sense that they didn't win it and they should have, right?
They're not, right?
And that they were going to be, chased out of the Middle East.
It is going to weaken both.
Yeah, agreed.
Then what happens to Israel? Watch this.
And what Pastor will do is start to control the world. Because through chaos and conflict, Pax Judaica can make a lot of money, right? Because Pax Judaica, what's going to happen is that you have these technology companies like Google, they're going to move over to Pax Judaica and build a global surveillance state.
What did I tell you about the tech bros? Anybody notice that a lot of the tech CEOs are pro-Israel? Gee, I wonder why. Sergey Brin, David Sachs. Everybody notice a lot of these guys are pro-Israel? Yeah, there's a reason for that. So this is what I was saying about Palantir, the surveillance state, AI increasing in Israel, Israel increasing technology. This is not a coincidence. This is all on purpose. Once you start to see these companies move over to Israel and invest more there, you need to be prepared. Because yes, Israel is increasing their surveillance state. They made it very publicly. They tell you they spy on us and we spy on them. I mean, it's not like that is a secret. Why do you think you hear Mike Huckabee saying it out loud that we have to support Israel because of biblical reasons? Why do you think Ted Cruz is saying it out loud? We must do it because the Bible tells us to. By the way, all of these people know this. And I don't sit here today saying that I honestly do not believe that not one politician in DC doesn't know what the end game is. I think they all know. And why do I think that? Because it was Cynthia McKinney who made it very clear that the moment that she was sworn into Congress, one of the things that they said to her is that you have to stand by and be pro-Israel. You got to stand by Israel. You have to have this alliance with Israel. They all know. That's why even some of the ones that have sympathy for the Palestinian people, that's why even they only go so far with their rhetoric. Ultimately, they know that Democrat leadership, Republican leadership, and then who's above them, whoever is in the White House, regardless of the party, who's above them, remember we had that pyramid, the billionaires and the central banks. So we all know when I say deep state, that's who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a millionaire. I'm talking about the people that have that 0.1%. I'm talking about the billionaires. I'm talking about the central banks, the people that none of us can touch. That's where the real power lies. The politicians are just puppets. They're basically the spokesman, but they're not the people that are pulling the strings. Let's continue a little bit more.
So let me give my 2 cents on what she just said and what he just said as well. He talked about the Google and the all these Starlink and all this stuff being brought back into the Israeli state. First of all, you need to understand that if there's a war between Israel, the United States, and Iran, for sure Israel is going to be hit hard as well, right? So Israel is not going to be going out there scot-free. And even though now, let's say, and let's take the point of view of the professor as well, who said, okay, the United States are going to be chased out, not going to be killed or totally defeated, right? But they're going to be chased out of the Middle East. No problem. So he says that all the assets are going to come into Israel, and Israel is going to become a surveillance state. My issue is that once you got surveillance and you got all that information, you got to give it to somebody else. And if you want to control everything else, you need to have people that have influence in other country for you to be able to carry that influence out of your own premises, out of your own country, and make some kind of an impact, right? And that's where my argument is going to come along at the end of this video. Because at the end of the day, when you think about it right now, Trump is breaking it, and is breaking bridges, is making bridges collapse between him and all of the allies that he used to have. Whether we talk about Canada, where he says that Canada is the 51st state, start insulting the prime minister of Canada, calling him governor and all that, and you see the governor Mark, who's saying that now, I mean, there's a breaking point to the American, bullying them into doing everything that they want them to do. The same thing with France, right? That is now has the shorthand of the stick in regards to the discussion that they have with the American that wants also, that are going to Venezuela, the American with ICE in their own country, America that want to take Greenland, and so on and so forth. So right now, a lot of bridges are being burned and broken by the Americans, so that at the end of the day, even if Israel becomes a state, a surveillance state, and so on and so forth, so what is that information is going to provide to them? And also, again, are they going to be the only one to be a surveillance state at the end of the day? So these are many questions that we need to ask ourselves, but I don't want to get ahead of it, right? Because I'm going to do a summary of all this stuff that they're talking about, because the options that they're giving us, right? The path that they're providing us is a path that can happen. But it's a path where they need to have control also outside of their borders. Allies, strong allies outside of their borders. But the problem is that now the masks are off, and that people know and understand that the American and the Israeli only know power, and that they don't want a multipolar world where everybody can live together at the same time at equal and respect each other. What they want is to be the only power that can impose their will to other people, which is not what other people want, right? So let's keep going on that.
Warren here.
There are civil wars, you need AI to control people. If you're going to war with Russia, you need weapons, okay? But you also need financing as well. So you can expect a lot of banks to move to Israel, and it's possible Israel becomes now the global reserve currency because everyone is trading with Israel. If you're right,
I'm not sure about that. To be honest with him, I'm not sure about that, because what is the currency they're going to exchange in, especially when you know that Russia, the BRICS, and all that are trying to do another type of SWIFT example. They're gonna try to change the currency that in which you can buy stuff outside of the country and all that. So I'm not that sure, because there's a lot of things that he implies that should happen before what he says becomes reality. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying that he's missing that part of hard work that needs to be done before you create your work of art. It just doesn't appear just like that. You got to mix the colors, you got to break down you make the design, buy the stuff, and etc. Right? So let's keep going. You catch my drift.
You need to trade you need to trade your resources, right? Mm-hmm. Oil, energy, and grain. Okay, so Russia controls a third of the world's carbohydrates. Guess what, guys? Israel controls Africa. So what will happen is that Russia and other countries will sign a trade.
So listen, he says Israel control Africa. I don't know. Maybe I'm not so sure. All I know is that Israel wants to control Africa. I don't know if they do. If they do, that wouldn't surprise me at the end of the day. But the will is there for them to control Africa, and they have the mean to do it, as they have the mean to control other countries around the world. And I explained to you why. Because you got Jewish people in every countries, and those Jewish people, I mean, they look like any other people of that country. They have the same color. They can even speak the same language. The only thing that is different is that they're Jewish. They believe in Judaism, and probably they believe in Israel and the greater Israel. So for them, the religion, unfortunately, goes before the country that they actually was born in. And that's the secret of the thing. So that's why it wouldn't really surprise me if they got control of Africa, or they have the potential to have control of Africa and other countries, like we see in the United States. The United States is only controlled by Israel, as is France, and as is maybe Australia and other countries, right? Let's keep going.
Trading with Israel, and Israel becomes a center of global trade.
There it is.
Does that make sense? So this is...
It could make sense, yes and no. There's a lot of different things that can happen so that it happens, and there's a lot of other things that might happen so that it doesn't happen, right? So yes and no. That's a yes and no. That's his assumption, and let's go with that assumption. And at the end of the day, when we do our summary, we'll see. We will maybe have like a different point of view out of this, but this is definitely one of the options.
How Pax Judaica will profit. And
Stop here for a second where he says profit. So Pax Judaica, which basically means peace, like peace in Israel. What you have to understand, when you hear Netanyahu and the rest of his cronies say they do want peace, they're not talking about the peace that we're talking about. When we say we want peace, we want Palestinian people to be free. We want them to have self-liberation. We want them to have, like, whether it's their own state, we just don't want them to be caged in, and we want Israel to stop attacking them and leave them the hell alone. We want them to be able to have their land back. Like, that's what we mean when we say we want peace. When Israel says they want peace, what they're talking about is this. Their idea of peace is them being at the center of global trade and intelligence technology, them having major control in the Middle East, and all the other, what is left of the Muslim and Arab countries at that point in time, everyone bending the knee to Israel. Their idea of peace is them being empowered.
True.
And you responding and answering to them.
True.
That's what they're talking about.
Nothing to say about this.
Now we get to the biblical part.
Let's go.
I tried a ton of AI work tools.
Oh,
then
gotta
I
pay our
tried
dues.
Monday.com. Game over.
YouTube tax.
remember that Israel has the world's best intelligence agency, the Mossad. And what they can do is go around the world and create as much chaos as possible.
Well, yeah. Again, it's that it comes back to what I was telling you earlier, right? First of all, they have many people that are there that are prominent, that are rich in other countries. So they don't even have to have spy in terms, right? Because those guys already control maybe like different part of the government, level of the government, and all, and so on and so forth, like media, everything, companies. Right, so right there, they already control like a big part of the stuff, right? And what we're talking about, like again, spies, and I mean, they have people, again, like I was telling you earlier, that looks like exactly the people of the country, right? The only thing that is different is the religion that they have, and again, unfortunately, their religion, or fortunately, I don't know, their religion goes before the country where they were born, and where normally they should have allegiance, but their allegiance to Judaism precede their allegiance to their country. It's as simple as that. So it's kind of easier for them to be able to, go on the down low and do some spy stuff in there. And obviously, as they say, they do have like some surveillance, and they do control certain industries, that if they catch someone using that industry porn, then they can easily make the guy understand that it's better for him, to come talk to them before they release this material outside. All right, let's go. Let's not go into the nitty gritty. Let's listen to the.
Yep.
To the
So
the
while
stuff.
the world is burning, Israel, Pastor Jake, is profiting. And that's what the future looks like for the next 10, 20 years. And this will, of course, lead to the rise of the Antichrist.
There it is. The Antichrist.
Who will take control of Pastor Jake and force the world to eventually attack Israel in something called the War of Gog and Magog. And this will, of course, lead to the second coming of Jesus. So that's a grand.
Stop here. Now, there are disagreements about the Antichrist. Some people think the Antichrist will be an actual person. Some people think the Antichrist could be a group of people. But it also could be that the Antichrist could just describe the state of the world at that point in time. Again, like Revelations, it explains that there's supposed to be 7 years of tribulation. We're talking about famine, chaos, unstoppable, uncontrollable wars. But then there'll be 7 years of peace. 7 years of peace through the Antichrist first. And then after those years of peace, there's going to be just trial and tribulation. And then this is supposed to be at the point where Jesus, comes back riding on a white horse. You guys know the story if you went to, church, riding on a white horse to stop all of this. Now, according to the Bible, if you are part of the rapture, so if the rapture happens, which the rapture means that these are people who believe and follow Jesus Christ, they would be taken up to heaven. They would miss all of this. So according to the Bible, they would not be present on earth when these trials and tribulations began. But for everyone else who doesn't believe, they would be here, and it essentially would be hell on earth, is what it talks about. So, and that's if you believe in this way. But this whole thing about the biblical end times, this is what I was talking about. Whereas Israel, we will be at the center. It will be the center of everything, and all the power, whether it's technology, whether it's AI, whether it's finance, all the power will be centered there. And pay attention to something else. Do you guys notice how our country, I keep telling you, we're not really investing in our own country. We're not really investing in our own infrastructure the way that we should be when you compare it to other countries and stuff like that. But we're investing in Israel. Like, everyone doesn't have healthcare here, but everyone has healthcare in Israel. We don't have free public universities here, but they can go to school for free. And so do you see what I'm saying? Israel is very tiny now, but that is not the goal. The goal is to expand and to create what they call the promised land. And I think we're going to get to that part in just a second. Let me come up here.
The promised land, I don't know. I would more say
the
like the Greater Israel Project.
Promised land. This is the Greater Israel Project.
Thank you.
Okay, this is what Yahweh promised to Abraham in the Bible. As you can see, it's pretty huge. It's the entire Middle East. It extends from the Nile to the Euphrates in Iraq. Okay, it's a huge area. And if you say the Israelis want to achieve the Greater Israel Project.
One problem here. Let me go back to this map. There is something I need to show you. On this map, let me get them back to it here.
All right, guys, the Promised Land.
On this map, you know what's included in Greater Israel? Jordan, Baghdad. Here we have part of Africa. Remember I told you they're going to take part of Africa? I think this is part of Saudi Arabia, because that's not all of Saudi Arabia. Of course, there's Syria. See how they've basically taken all of this? Yeah. Now, wait till we get to the IDF soldier badge.
This is the Greater Israel Project. Okay, this is what Yahweh promised to Abraham in the Bible. As you can see, it's pretty huge. It's the entire Middle East. It extends from the Nile to the Euphrates in Iraq. Okay, it's a huge area. And if you say the Israelis want to achieve the Greater Israel Project, they call you a conspiracy theorist. So, like, we don't want that, okay? But explain two things to me. First of all, why is the Greater Israel map on a chevron of an IDF soldier, okay? These are soldiers, Israeli soldiers, and they wear the insignia of the Greater Israel Project, okay?
So, and anyone saying that the Greater Israel Project is a myth is obviously not paying attention, because Benjamin Netanyahu has unveiled it right in front of Congress.
For real.
I mean, it is very obvious what
For
they
real.
want to do.
For everyone to see.
So
Remember
this
that.
is why I say that Israel has to be stopped. Do you guys understand why I keep saying that this destruction has to stop? Now, some of you may be watching this and wondering, well, what could possibly change anything? The other Arab nations are going to have to form an alliance against Israel. This is why I keep pointing fingers
Smart,
at
Sabby.
Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Jordan, Turkey. They are all going to have to come together to stop this. If they keep bending the knee to Israel and the United States, this could be the future. And again, this is also if you believe in the...
But they kind of have no choice right now. Right now, they have no choice, because they know that they cannot attack the Americans, and that all of them cannot get... They won't get together to say that, okay, let's attack the American right now. I mean, back in the 7 Days War, I think it was in 67 or something like that. I mean, a whole bunch of Arab country ganged up on Israel, and they got their ass whooped. Basically, regardless if you say that it was a preemptive strike, why do you think that Israel is able to do preemptive strike and that other countries are not able to do preemptive strike? They always wait until, let's say, Israel or the United States are ready to attack to try to respond. And on top of that, when they respond, it's a measured response. It's a measured response, right? So right now they cannot do it because they just don't have the cojones, the balls, the guts to do it right now, right? Let's keep going.
Biblical prophecy. Not everyone does, obviously. And then that takes me back to part 1 of this series, when I was talking about, do we even know if those are all the books from the Bible? Because I've read before that there's lost books from the Bible. Also, who really sat down and wrote the Bible? Who did the translation? How do you know you're getting the full story and not just the one that Zionists wanted you to know? It is always important to ask questions. And anyone telling you that you should not ask questions, you need to honestly look at them with a side eye. What is it they don't want you to know?
True.
Or they don't want you to ask about?
True.
So these are things that need to be answered. There are some that follow the New Testament, some that follow the Old Testament, some that look at both, but the New Testament is supposed to basically overrule the Old Testament. So who's right? And then when you look at the different denominations within Christianity, who is correct? Is it the Pentecostals? Is it the Methodists? Is it the what do we used to call them? The Lutherans? Who is, because people have different Bibles.
True. And different understanding of the Bible as well.
This is why Israel needs the evangelicals.
This is why they need TPUSA as well.
They flew 1,000 pastors to Israel to come back home and brainwash their congregation that Israel is not committing genocide and this is what God wants.
Yeah.
This is why they freaked out when they saw that some of the young right-wing people are turning away from Israel.
Yeah, that's why. And Sabby, you wanted to say that's why they freaked out, knowing that Charlie Kirk was turning against Israeli. So, yeah, I understand. I hear you.
They didn't like seeing those numbers. This is why they're panicking. They need the evangelicals. They need to use you.
And also, I mean, one thing, they need the youth, right? Well, we get taxed again by YouTube. They need the youth. They need the youth. So that's why, again, I'm coming back to TPUSA and Charlie Kirk, because that was the future of Israel's support and leadership from the United States. That's where, you know, the future leadership was going to be bred and converted and subverted and brainwashed to serve Israel and the Greater Israel Project. We all know what happened to Charlie Kirk.
One more part here.
This is the map. Also, if you look at the flag of Israel, there are two blue lines, right? These represent rivers, the Nile and the Euphrates. All right? So if it's a conspiracy theory, then how do you explain these two things? All right, but I want to argue to you, you know what? Pax Judaica, it's not about Israel or the greater Israel.
So, guys, I'm going to stop there, right? And then I'm going to give my 2 cents on it. And what I do believe in this presentation that he's giving us, and his path to what the Greater Israel is going to be, right, is that he's forgetting something. He's forgetting that the Russians are not stupid, right? He's forgetting also that the Chinese are not stupid either. What he's forgetting also, in my opinion, is that Saudi Arabia, right, for that matter, right, Saudi Arabia for that matter, maybe doesn't want to give, you know, pieces of his land, a big chunk of his country to Israel. Maybe what he's forgetting is that maybe Egypt does not want to give a big chunk of his country to Israel. Maybe he's forgetting that Jordan doesn't want either to give all his country to Israel. Syria, Iraq don't want Israel to take their country, right? And what he's forgetting is that if he can see on the military chevron of the Israeli military, that he can see that, okay, on the chevron there's the Greater Israel map, and that also Netanyahu went into the UN and presented the Greater Israel map. What he's forgetting is that those countries can see it too, right? So my understanding is that, listen, what I just hope is that for them, for the United States, because what he says can be true in the sense in regard to the confrontation between Israel and the United States and against Iran, right? But the thing that he's forgetting is that when this war is going to happen, and it might happen soon, definitely Israel is going to be hurt as well, because I don't think that Iran is going to hold his punches, his strike towards Israel. And I do believe that no matter what happened, you need to understand that the United States and Israel have to do a quick work out of Iran. Because if they are entangled in a long war of attrition against Iran, it doesn't serve their purpose. Because what they're doing is that they're just weakening their position. And weakening their position now is getting them susceptible, right, to be, not attacked, but at least confronted by the other countries like Egypt, like Saudi Arabia, like Syria, like Iraq, that know that now America and Israel are a little bit weaker than they were before. You understand? So that's very important, because you need to understand that when the Americans are going to come all the way, because the reason why they didn't attack, we know the reason why they didn't attack, because they thought that they were ready and that they had people on the ground in Iran that could, at the same time that they attack, they can do strike inside of Iran the same way that they did when they started the war, during the famous start of the 12-day war. But they did understand that, oh, they weren't ready because Iran cracked down on internet, on the communication, they cracked down on the Starlink, and so on and so forth, right? So that's the reason why they are not ready. I told you that all the other countries have to wait that Israel and the American be ready before they can respond. And right now the American are not ready. So the only thing that I'm saying to the American and the Israelis is that they better make quick work of the Iranian, or if they don't, what's going to happen is going to be the same thing that happened during the 12-day war, that Israel is going to ask for a way out, right? And to stop the war just so that they can resume it on another day. And it's going to be the same thing for the United States, because the longer it lasts for the United States, the more problem they're going to have in their country. They already have problem with ICE. You need to understand that. They already have problem with their politics. You need to understand that as well. There's a lot of things going on. That's why I'm telling you that what the professor is actually saying makes sense, but it does need to explain also and give us the different options that should come along, because the way that he's talking is just like Russia doesn't exist, China doesn't exist, and those people don't think, and that Egypt and Saudi Arabia, they don't exist. You need to understand that Iran is an insurance policy for a lot of countries right now. Iran is an insurance policy for Egypt. Iran is an insurance policy for Saudi Arabia. It's an insurance policy for Jordan, for Syria, even for Iraq, right? Why? Because Iran is the only country that right now standing between Israel and the Greater Israel Project. If you remove Iran, tell me what other country is going to be able to hold their ground against Israel and against the United States? None of them, right? And that's the reason why they are subservient to the United States and to Israel. It doesn't mean that they don't know what is coming up. They understand what is coming up. Right, and if I'm going to tell you the truth, if a war really happened between Iran, I mean, these guys know that if Iran goes, so also is the Greater Israel Project that is going to be able to happen, because they have nothing that they can do against the United States or anything that they can do against Israel. As simple as that. So definitely Iran is an insurance policy for all these guys. And for them, right, it's better that Iran keeps being that way, because it keeps them out of harm's way. You need to understand that, because again, I'm telling you, they also see the chevron on the Israeli military. They see it as well. They're not blind, they're not stupid, and they know what is coming. Right? So right now they're playing a game because they know that the United States, that Israel, those guys are strong, they're powerful and all that. Now, this is just the Middle East countries, right? And now we're talking about China, and we're talking about Russia, right? We also already saw that Trump was isolating, because they cannot isolate them in terms of countries around. I mean, Russia, as you see, they attacked Ukraine, they're standing up against the European and all that stuff. They don't want to know anything about, having a border that is full of tomahawks and all that is ready to be launched any day, every second, right? They don't want that. But what they can do, they can isolate them economically, through the resources and so on and so forth. They can isolate them. That's what they started to do with Venezuela. Right now, it seems to work, right? And that's what they're trying to do now with Iran. If they succeed in beating up, doing a regime change in Iran, I'm telling you, that's an existential threat for China, and that's an existential threat for Russia. You need to understand that when the Israelis and the Americans are going to attack Iran, if they do, right? You need to understand that they're not going to only attack Iran, right? That's Iran is going to be supported by China, and they're going to be supported by Russia. But more than that, then you're going to see, you know what, the Houthis coming back into play. You're going to see Hezbollah coming back into play, and that's for sure. That's a promise, because they're going to again blockade all that maritime way here that the Houthis already did during a certain period of time. Now, of course, the American and the Israeli can share the work in the sense that, okay, the Israelis are going to attack and the Houthis and Hezbollah, so on and so forth, and the United States are going to take care of Iran. But the thing that I want to stress is that, first of all, Iran is going to be backed up militarily and through information by the Russian and the Chinese, because definitely the Chinese and the Russian do understand that the Chinese and the Russian do understand that if Iran's fall, they're in deep shit. They're in deep trouble, right? And of course, they're going to activate also all these Hezbollah guys, and they're going to activate the Houthis as well. Now, if the Americans don't make quick work, and the Israelis don't make quick work of Iran, right, then they're going to weaken their position. Right now, they can talk the big talk, and they can try to play the big game, because they know that the Russian are strained and are entangled in their conflict with Ukraine. Maybe we don't know what is the amount of weapon that they still possess, and so on and so forth. But we know that they're entangled there, and that they're losing a lot of people, regardless of the numbers that they're giving us that are maybe like inflated, but they're still losing a lot of people on the field. And they're still using a lot of weapon on the field as well, correct? So right now, if the United States and Israel are in powerful, are in a better situation, you know, to talk the big talk in front of the Russian, and even threaten other country and all that, arrest their ship and so. But let me tell you this. Don't think that the Russians are stupid. Don't think that the Chinese are stupid. Don't think that the Middle East countries that are there, that seems to be, you know, in bed with the United States and all that, are stupid and don't see this, and that they don't see the Greater Israel project that is grabbing like part of their country, or fully grabbing their country. Don't think that they don't see it, right? For me, what it looks like is that the same thing that happened to, let's say, Germany, and that the Russian did when they used their scorch or earth strategy, right? Where they let the German army come inland, right? And that they got caught, and that they burned the villages, the towns, so that they don't get any food, right? And that they pull them to a point of no return, where winter grabbed them, and that they couldn't go back. They died by tens of thousands, and got attacked and got defeated by the Russian army. And that's what it looks to me, that, man, it seems like those guys are actually luring the American into a position where they have to make a move, where at one point, or their credibility is going to be lost in terms of talking the big talk and not doing anything, or just at a certain point they're gonna have to do it, but they won't understand what kind of response they're going to receive on the back end, right? I mean, this is a chess game that is being played here, where lives are involved, where lives are at stake, where states are at stake, right? So I don't think that is that easy. I don't think that is that flawless in terms of okay, this is just going to be the Greater Israel project, and all that, the prophecy is going to be fulfilled, and so on and so forth, right? I don't think that it's going to be that straightforward. I do believe that a lot of people are right now being hurt by the way Trump is treating them. Whether we talk about France, whether we talk about Canada, whether we talk about Greenlanders, whether we talk about NATO, you need to understand that people do that. The masks are off. The masks are off in every way. I mean, since like 2 years of genocide that we've seen, masks have been falling off. People understand now what Israelis are, right? And when we used to say they could still pretend that, oh, we don't control it's anti-Semitism to say that we control the media. It's anti-Semitism to say that we control the movie industry, and so on and so forth, right? But now we know the masks are off. When Trump is talking now, we know that the masks are off. We understand that the power now is what needs to be used to make countries comply. We know that from Trump point of view, that's what people understand. That's what people like countries like Egypt understand now. That's what Saudi Arabia understand. That's what Jordan understand. That's what Syria, Iraq understand. That's what they all understand. And it's not even hidden anymore. It's talked about like straight out, like a normal conversation. Right? Everybody understands that now. And again, like I'm telling you, I don't think that this country want to go along with it. Right? So when we see like this unfolding, and that we see that Israel is going to become the center of the technology and the information and so on and so forth, then we need to understand also that a lot of things needs to happen. Again, one thing that I do agree though, they do have the potential to control a lot, at least to control Africa and to control other countries, because again, like I was saying, there's a lot of Israelis that are Jewish people that are in those different countries and that talk the language, that are born there, that have generation of people that are born there, that are part of that, the fabric of that country and all that stuff, but that have allegiance, instead of that, the country where they're in, that have allegiance to Israel because of the Judaism, right? So when we're talking about Africa, that they control Africa, I was telling you earlier that, yeah, it could make sense because there's a lot of Jewish communities in Africa. And we see how the Israelis right now are going. I mean, right now, it's been a long time that they're going there and that they're doing their stuff there in Africa, trying to connect with the Jewish population that are in those different countries. And I guess we know why, right? And trying to make some links and try to make them understand that, they need to be, they're part of something, they're chosen people, and that they're part of something that is greater than being a Nigerian, or being a Sudanese, or being from Uganda, or being from Cameroon, or being from Senegal, or being from Morocco and all that their allegiance should be to Israel. And doing that, I mean, Israel can support them like they would support anybody, like make rich people in this country, very influential people in this country, making even maybe a regime change in these countries to put their people in there to control the destiny of this country and to be subservient to Israel. This makes total sense. And that's why we're going to see how the battle here is going to unfold. That's why we're going to see how it's going to unfold. Iran is going to be an eye-opener. To be honest with you guys, Iran is going to be an eye-opener. And I don't think that Russia and China are going to let Iran fall. For sure, they're going to fight to make sure that Iran doesn't fall, right? So that's a little bit my 2 cents in this. That for the great, it would have been easier for Israel and the United States for the Greater Israel Project to happen on the down low, without that genocidal war that is carried out and that have made like the mask fall off the face of Israel, and fell off the face of the way that they control the United States, how the political landscape in the United States is totally corrupted, and definitely at one point with the ICE Gestapo that is going there in every neighborhood, at one point is going to break. I'm positive that it's going to break. I told you, there's already that guy that got killed. That first of all, that's this woman that got killed, murdered, and then there's this guy who got killed, murdered, and who had a weapon, even if it was authorized. They shut him down. And there's this group that was claiming to be of the Black Panthers that said that, I mean, I dare you to come in my neighborhood, and then we're gonna see, right? And I do believe that if ICE continues this way, there's definitely gonna be blood on the streets. And man, I'm not for that, but it looks like that's what they want to do, because there's absolutely no accountability in what they're doing. They seem to have all power given to them by the president of the United, by Donald Trump, and they don't care about the consequences. A little bit like the Israeli army can do genocide, kill anybody, anywhere, any place, and they won't suffer, and bomb anybody, anywhere, any place, and they won't suffer any consequences. So it is what it is. We're going to see what's going to happen there, right? But the only point that I wanted to make, if there's a point that you should take out of my reasoning in regard, and my response in regard to the video that you just saw with Sabby Sabs and the famous Professor Jing, there is just that don't think that China and Russia are sleeping. Don't think that Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, don't think that all these guys are sleeping, right? Don't think that they're sleeping. This is a chess game. They understand exactly what's at stake, and they understand now, and they also understand, what is the peril that is upon them. And they're not going to let Iran down. And also what I'm going to tell you is that, and the other thing that because they all see, like I said, they all see the Greater Israel Project, and they all see the chevron on the army's arm. And also one thing that you should, the second thing that you should take away is that where the American wanted to isolate China, where they wanted to isolate Russia, right? And where they want to isolate Iran, but especially Russia and China, now they are kind of isolating themselves with Israel against the other countries, right? They now they won't have good relation, I would say, with Venezuela, maybe their leadership, but the population itself can break down, right? And throw a revolution any day. You got the Mexican people that don't trust. I mean, the United States and Israel are not trusted anymore. They are feared, but they are not trusted. I understand that some people in history said that, okay, I'd rather be feared than loved, right? If they love me, if they don't love me, I don't care, as long as they fear me. I understand that. As long as you still have the power, right? But you do understand that also there's a saying that says you live by the sword and you die by the sword, right? So the power that you get, you better have it always. You need to always have that influence. You need to always have that power. You need to always have that fear that is upon the other people, that you impose stuff on. You always need to have that fear, and you also still need to have that same power, right? Because the day that they feel that you're weakened, that's when you're going to feel the wrath, and that's what you understand. That's when you're going to understand the reality of the whole thing, right? That's when you're going to understand the reality of the whole thing. And that's why I'm saying that if there's a war between the United States and Israel, and the United States and Israel against Iran, it better be a quick one. It better be a quick one, because like the professor said, like he said rightfully, man, the two countries are going to be weakened. United States is going to be weakened. He didn't say Israel is going to be weakened, but Israel is going to be weakened as well, because Iran is not going to miss Israel, right? And what are the powers that are going to remain, especially in there? You're going to have China. That is going to remain. You're going to have maybe Russia as well. That's going to remain. But the hegemony and the power and the fear of the American is going to be weakened, believe you me. And that's why you're going to see certain countries here, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Syria, Qatar, and all that start to show teeth. And remember that with me again, Iran is an insurance policy for a lot of these countries. Iran, again, is an insurance policy for all of these countries. So I would even argue that if there's a war between Iran, the United States, Iran, and Israel, some of these countries might, under the table, actually help Iran, because they understand that the Greater Israel Project is for real, and that if Iran is gone, right, first of all, it's going to weaken Russia and China, but definitely they're threatened, because there will be nothing else that is going to stand between Israel and the Greater Israel Project. That's my 2 cents about it. You guys let me know what you think about it, and we can talk about it in the discussion. Sorry that it's a little bit long, but I needed you to kind of understand and listen to Sabby Sabs and the Professor Jing. That did a great run out of the option and the path to the Greater Israel Project, going even to the Antichrist and the end of times, right? But remember that at the end of the day, not everybody is religious, okay? And that for people is just a matter of geopolitical situation and battles, right? And it's just problem between countries, a conflict between countries and all that, and that's how they see it, not forcefully, not only from let's say a religious glance, although Israel uses a lot of religion to put like people on their side, but this is another story for another day. So guys, I'm going to let you there, because I can keep going like for hours and hours and hours. You take care of yourself. You let me know what you think about it, and let's discuss it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give me some like. Always love to have some love. And obviously also don't forget, share the video to the entire planet, so that they can also use that wisdom that is there. Just kidding. Take care of yourself. Bye guys.